I got the Ben Franklin thing going.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like the Ben Franklin thing, and I also like it the declaration of such as an opener.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Well, it's funny, but before I came online with you guys, my daughter and I went to a park in East End, and she was swinging on the swing, and I was reading a book, and the cops pinched us. They told us to get the hell out of Dodge. So.
Really?
Hey, really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
See, I have mixed feelings about that. A public park. I mean, part of me is happy that somebody's looking out for the dullards amongst us, but at the same time, it's a park. It's a park.
The heinous crime of swinging on a swing. So we wound up going up to a cemetery up in Mount Washington, looking for some old dead ball players up there.
Oh, were you? There's a really old graveyard up there that's like right in the shadow of the water tower thing.
Yeah,
is that where you were?
That's where it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool place.
Yeah, the great Buck Ewing. He's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's in that. Yeah.
We have to delve into this because I am in both ways. I'm fascinated and oddly repulsed by discovering over the years.
Sounds like you're pretty disgusted there with that shriek. I think that was John.
I think it was John too. He's going outside. He's going out to burn one. Repulsed is the wrong word. I'm fascinated and I don't know what repulsed is the wrong word, but your sports historian side is something that I realized a few years back watching posts on social media and stuff, but I had no idea how thorough it is. But you're a sports historian to the core.
Well, I like to think of myself as an historian in general, but I have certainly zoned in on that niche. Yeah, and it's not just baseball. I love it all. I love everything.
Yeah.
The whole 9 yards. But no, I can certainly understand that. The jock type thing. Well, it might be not necessarily guys that we would probably hang out with a lot. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm just a history fan, so I was able to tie everything in pretty well together. So
that's cool. No, I think it's awesome, and I got ahead of myself there. Jim, introduce yourself. Say where you are and what you do.
Oh, I'm Jim Farmer. I'm currently broadcasting from Newport, Kentucky. I think Bill Ferb, he's still up the hill from me. So, Bill, if you're watching this, he's looking down at me right now.
Right.
He's down upon me. But yeah,
I should have just had him join us. I haven't called him in as emergency guest in a minute.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's the backup. Yeah, but no, I mean, for people out there who know me, I used to run Deary Records with John and played in a number of bands. And I work for the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum now. I'm a part of the curatorial staff, and of course, I also just got my real estate license too. So that's kind of
And we're going to talk about that too. I'm going to try and sell you something before it's over.
But I am you talk about selling stuff. I am a shameless self-promoter, guys. You guys know that. And
that real estate's your thing, man. There it is. There's the book.
Yes.
There's the book. Wait, Jim, how do people tell me the title of the book? Tell me when it was published and tell me how people can get a copy.
Well, the book it's a series it's a 5-volume series. Cincinnati Sports Chronicles Volume 1 is what I've just completed, and it covers sports in Cincinnati from 1869 to 1899. And currently, I'm having issues getting it on Amazon, but I'm working on getting it there. It's not like the 90s, the old Deary Me days. It was just so easy getting our titles up there, but not these days. But it is available on eBay right now for sale. I put it available. It's available up there. But the whole Corona thing going on, I can't get it in the retail stores just yet. So it will be available. It'll be available at the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum's a lobby as well.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. John, don't want to give you short shrift. Welcome back.
Thanks.
Say who you are, where you are, what you do.
My name's John. Just John.
Just John.
And
just only John.
I'm broadcasting live from the border of Cleveland and Shaker Heights, Ohio.
Right on. Shaker Heights for you purists.
I'm a lawyer.
Right on.
That's about it. I do law.
That's good stuff, man. I like it. You've got some, What?
What?
Well, you said, "Hey, man," I was waiting for a declaration.
I thought you were laughing at me.
Hey,
man, cut that out.
No, I was actually just going to comment on your inadvertent but brilliant framing with your satellite dish.
Oh, you like that?
I do like it. I do like it.
Does it even
It's
work, John?
It's like David Lynchian.
I need a pink flamingo around here somewhere.
I'm sure there is one.
Oh,
Jim
man.
and I are going to
We
get
got-
together and we're going to send you a flamingo.
We can do that.
what?
We're going to send
A
you a
flamingo?
flamingo.
Oh, okay, good. That'd be nice. I'd like that.
Yeah,
My neighbors would love
I'll put a handlebar mustache on it or something, you know.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'll know it's from you, man. So I know it's from you. So, dudes, I've been listening to this podcast.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's called Music Exists with Chuck Klosterman and some other dude.
Why do I know? Why do I know the name Chuck Klosterman?
He's a pretty good-sized writer at this point. You know, like journalist, sort of music journalist guy. He wrote a book called Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs.
Right.
Yeah, seriously. He wrote for the Akron Beacon Journal for years, and he wrote for Spin and all these other places. I've got a couple of his books, but pretty entertaining shit, man. They get into this discussion about Stones versus Beatles in one, you know, which is just, you know, it's pretty. But these are like serious music dudes. They're not like just like people who are like.
But anymore in 2020, is the Stones versus the Beatles a serious debate?
Well, I think I remember Mick Jagger saying once, he's like, "Are you kidding? They've been broken up for 40 years, and people are still comparing them to us." You know, it's really laughable.
I mean,
Well, you know what was interesting
shit.
in the discussion they had was that what does it say about a person who says the Stones? You know, what type is there a type of person, because it's almost contrarian in a way at this point. And it's like, you know, are these the same people that say things like punk rock saved my life? And it was just, you know, and just a lot of weird facts came out, like George Harrison, dude. The Beatles were done by the time he was 28 years old. I can't get over that. That's incredible.
Yep.
Anyways, man, so that's what I've been up to.
Well, the Beatles left enough. The Beatles left enough of an impact to cement their legacy. I would argue if you had to choose between the two and you had to name a reason for it, and I want to point out that I think I've already made clear that I think the argument is ridiculous and has no bearing on anything. But you know, I mean, the thing about the Beatles is they cemented their legacy by having an end to it. The finite end of the Beatles, you know, regardless of anything that happened, the conscious decision they made to stop making music as that group at that time meant that the Stones could do nothing but besmirch their own legacy at that point. The Stones, in order to make this a legitimate or even rational discussion, the Stones would have had to stop at the same time too, you know. And then we wouldn't have got a lot. I mean, I would argue that some of those mid to late '70s Stones efforts are amongst the best of their career. I would argue that, you know, and we wouldn't have had that if that's what had happened. But they also proceeded to, in my opinion, besmirch their own legacy by sticking it out way too fucking long.
Well, I think
releasing shit like Under Cover of the Night.
Well,
Dude,
I love that. You could say that about.
Do you? Okay.
Well, you know, yeah.
I mean, like Neil John. Just to be fair, I love Neil Young's Trans record. I think that's amazing.
Fair enough.
Well, yeah, I sincerely think that the Beatles probably would have gotten back together in the 80s or 90s, but you know, nonetheless, what happened. But I think you could say that about a lot of bands, because I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about the Police. The Police had 5 solid records, and you know,
4.5. 4.5.
Maybe. Sting's first 3 solo albums are pretty good, but you know, it kind of teetered out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I thought the Dream of the Blue Turtles, which I expected to fucking hate because I already hated Sting by that point anyway. I thought that was brilliant. I thought it was a great record. I thought everything he did was interesting and cool, and I still think a lot of that holds up now. But I mean, if you're going to say that people cement their legacy by ceasing to exist, then I mean, shit. Then the Libertines from the UK were the most amazing band ever, or the Exploding Hearts, or you know, I don't know.
Well, they get into an interesting discussion about that exact fact. Like, well, what if the Stones had
hung it up,
flown an airplane in 1972 into a mountain? You know, nobody survives.
Yeah.
And, they talk
I mean, that would make
about
the
the
argument.
repercussions of that and compare it. Yeah. No,
I
it's
mean,
it's
see,
good.
that's the thing is, if they did, then that would have been what, right after or right before Exile on Main Street? Right after,
Right after.
right?
Right after.
So right after. So Exile would have been their Sergeant Pepper's essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but see,
Something
that's
like
the thing. But if you compare the catalog at the time, I mean, this is it's almost like, and I don't want to belittle it for you, John, but this is almost like remember the Oasis Blur business?
They got
And it's
into
just,
that, dude. They
but,
totally got into it.
But of course they did, because this comes down to popularity of bands at the time. And, when huge popularity, I mean, it's almost like this conceit that somehow if you're a fan of one band that you can't be a fan of the other two. They're mutually exclusive. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I was never an Oasis fan, but
Well, it's
I
not-
like Blur.
Definitely
They
maybe
did
record's great, but Blur's held up way better over time
yeah.
for me.
I agree.
Well, it's funny. They talk about the the fan bases and stuff with Oasis and Blur. It's like, or Oasis was like, we thought they didn't like Radiohead because they were college. They thought they were fucking too smart, And Blur,
thought Radiohead was too smart?
middle class. Yeah. Like a bunch of students.
So
We don't need
Oasis
that.
Oasis was somehow the working class choice.
Oasis or Blur? John, are you still there?
He's there. We got a bad connection because he's outside smoking.
Exactly.
He said exactly to something.
Yeah.
We hear you, John.
Oh, is that right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry?
After I'm done smoking. Yeah.
No, you're fine. We just got a bad connection.
Huh?
We have a bad connection because your Wi-Fi is not. Oh, there you are. You're back. Welcome
There
back.
you are.
So we left off with Blur or Oasis being the working class choice. Which I would assume, just to carry the thought a step further, wasn't that always the thing with the Stones? They were the working class band, even though it's not like any of these bands. It's not like the Beatles came from money either.
Well, I always thought of the Rolling Stones as more like Bad Boys. You know what I mean? And the Beatles was at least the first 5 albums.
But that's what would.
We're more.
God damn it!
Yeah, he's going in.
Okay.
He's giving up. But yeah, I always thought of the Beatles as more kind of for the girls, and the Rolling Stones were more for the guys back then. I mean, that's kind of what I interpreted back, at least in the early stages.
Yeah, I mean, I get that to a certain extent. I mean, the bubblegum pop stuff. I mean, but some of that early Rolling Stone stuff is it's every bit as like poppy and whatever it is. It's funny that you said girls versus boys. For a while when my kids were young, I was doing this thing called Rock History School. And it was the summer. It was the summertime, and they'd be like, they had to listen to a band all summer and listen to me bullshit about the band. And one of the early ones was the Police, because, like you said, solid 5-record catalog, easy history, 3 people you can remember names. Because I'd quiz them on who played what and their favorite songs were, And so the Police came up, and like 2 or 3 weeks into that summer, both my kids expressed dismay that they had to listen to the Police again. And when I asked them what the story was, and at the time my son was like 10 or 11 and my daughter was like 5 or 6, and I'm like, what's the problem with the Police, especially these first 2 records? I can't believe you're. Yeah, and my daughter said, well, it's for boys. And my son said, it's for girls. I'm just like, all right.
Wow.
Whatever. And I had a very proud moment. They suffered with me all summer, and at the end of the summer, they both picked their favorite song. They both picked So Lonely, and I'm just like, okay, so you guys are going to be all right.
That's a great choice. It's a great choice.
I agree.
Man. Yeah. So, Jimmy, I'm telling you, I'm a big fan of the book.
Okay.
Johnny's actually has it and is reading it.
I wrote part of that up there in Cleveland when I came and visited you those couple times. So.
Fuck yeah, man! Come to Cleveland, the magic happens.
Yeah, we went to Old League Park where the old Cleveland Spiders played, and then the Cleveland Indians early years played there. We went
yeah.
So we had to keep a swivel on our neck. It was kind of a little dodgy neighborhood, but
yeah, it's rough
nonetheless.
But yeah, to keep our heads on a swivel.
Yes, that's a quote from John. So
that's good shit.
For me, this is an honor right here. I'm with what 2/5 of Mighty Wagon. Is that accurate?
I didn't count as a full fifth.
Oh yes, you every bit of a fifth.
Yeah.
You're like the Mick Taylor of the band, dude. You're the classic lineup.
I don't know about all that. Didn't I replace somebody? I can't even remember.
Yeah, James.
Oh yeah, but he just moved to guitar though, right?
No.
No, I remember
James those awesome bass trills?
trills.
Ooh.
Yeah, only vaguely. Only vaguely. I have
Yeah.
no idea. All I know is I made stickers.
Yeah, those were rad.
And we never recorded East 13th Street Stomp.
No, it didn't. It wasn't meant to be, man.
You know what? Maybe we get in touch with everybody. I've been doing. God help me. I've been most of my recording I've done in this quarantine days has been for the church.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Good job out of you.
Thank you.
What?
Church.
Church? The church? The band? The church?
Yes, I've been recording for the church. You know, ever since that one dude left, and everyone said it's not the church anymore without him.
Well,
It's like Haggerty's in now.
Good gig to have.
No, but the thing is,
am I all by myself now?
The thing is multi-track recording is so fucking easy right now. Why don't we see if we can get the Wagon Boys together and record that song?
Man, I'm game. I'm totally game. That sounds like fun.
Do you know how to get in touch with everybody? I can get in touch with Bill.
Yeah, I know Bill.
And that's it. And that's it.
Yeah, now I got Matt.
You got Kolarczyk?
Oh yeah. I went and saw Maiden with him this summer.
Huh?
I went and saw Maiden with him this summer.
Where at?
Riverbend.
Run to the hills.
Oh man,
run for your life.
It was epic. Also saw him at my 30-year high school reunion this year.
30.
Down in where? Findlay, Ohio?
Yep. To you yokels, it'd be up in Findlay, Ohio.
That's right.
And to me, it'd be over in Findlay, Ohio.
Right.
So now you know the exact location on I-75 on which Findlay situates.
I always did. You know why, right?
No.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh yeah, that dick.
Oh,
I don't know. He's from
I gotta tell you, when he got drafted, John Davis, I thought of you. I was like, I know somebody from that town.
Yeah, dude, we got a Ben Roethlisberger way in Findlay, Ohio. It's a pretty special street.
It's where all the prostitutes hang out.
Exactly.
probably.
Sorry,
That's
it was too fucking easy.
It was right there. Right there.
Let me ask you guys a question. How did you two meet? I never got the story behind that. How did you guys?
Vicky Shaw, right?
Nope.
No, help me out. I don't remember that. Fucking, that's right, Kevin Donahue.
Yeah. Me
right.
and Pat, dude. Yeah, Farmer. Me and Pat were driving around over the Rhine, just fucking around one day, and we saw this guy walking down the street, this great afro, just crazy looking dude. And Pat said, "John, you got to turn around. We got to check this dude out, man. He's the kid."
I can totally see that happening.
He's the Kid Dynamite. And so we went back around, and we drove past him again. I was like, "Wow, that guy's fucking cool." And so then we're driving around, and then I head back to the house over on Rose Street, and Kid Dynamite's hanging out in the front yard with these clean-cut kids, and it turns out Haggerty was living downstairs.
Yep.
That was it. That was how. And then Vicky Shaw. I think I met Vicky Shaw through Scott.
Well, okay. the last time I saw you, Scott, was at the Comet, and it was a Pariah's gig, and I think it was his last show.
Was it the tribute show, or was it the show before he actually passed?
I think it was the one before he actually passed.
Okay.
Away. Yeah.
Was he bald? Was it the Halloween show where we were playing as his oncology unit, where he shaved his head and we all wore lab coats?
God, that's awesome.
I would have remembered that. I don't think that was it, but yeah, that was the last time I saw you, and that was how long has that been? I mean, it's been 3 or 4 years.
I still haven't put his headstone. God help me, I still haven't put his headstone down yet. He's been buried out of Gate of Heaven. Now it's 4 years now. And I actually been making the calls. They're not open yet. I got to get it done. I got to get it taken care of, and it took a long time. But yeah, it's been 4 years now.
Well, he was really appreciative to John and I for getting the pariahs out there on an actual.
Yeah, and he convinced both you guys that was an original, didn't he?
Oh yeah. I remember when I was.
It was I Must Be Mad, right?
It was, I remember going through, calling all the bands up and asking for the songwriting credits to put in the liner notes. And when I called him, I said, all right, can I have the information? He gave me all the players that played on the song. And I said, well, who wrote the song? And he goes, I did. I just remember.
Right?
But he paused, and he went, I did. And it was like he wasn't sure.
He had that moment of doubt about whether he should come clean about this one or not.
I got that.
I actually didn't know that. I didn't know it was a cover myself for years, and then I literally stumbled across the original on Sirius XM on Little Steven's Underground Garage, like I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, and I called him out on it.
It was the Craig, right? The band called the Craig.
I can't rember who the band was, but I heard the original version. At the Craig, here we go. And I called Kevin out on it, and he's like, he was like, who was really gonna know? And I'm like, yeah, it took me 20 years to find out or whatever. So somebody mentioned, did you guys have, I have them. I just don't feel like digging them out. I've got all my CDs back here, but did you guys have an early Moth song on one of those Cincy music scenes?
Yeah, Moth was on the first 3 compilations.
All 3? I thought it was only the second one, but it was on the first 3?
We did 4. John was part of the label for the 3rd and 4th volumes. The first 2 was my other label partner at the time, Taylor Fox. And but yeah, Moth was on the first 3, and we were going to put him on the 4th, but it just fell through. So
yeah.
But yeah, when Deary Me was actually going to release, where the hell's he going now?
I don't know. It's okay though.
Probably he's going to an outhouse or something. But yeah, so Deary Me was actually. I think we were working to actually put a full-length Moth album out, but they got picked up by a major label. So
Provisions Fiction
with a
Gear.
major label.
Yeah, that makes a certain amount of sense. You know what? You want to hear my little piece of trivia about Moth?
Yeah.
Well, no. The reason I asked about that is because it came up recently. Some Facebook feed, some guy played that track off of the Deary Me compilation. And that came up the second one, and I can't remember what the song was, but I recognized the title right away.
Psycho Motor, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that probably is it. But yeah, I mean, they were a lot raw early on, and I've never played shows with them at the Southgate House with Bog Standard, but for a long time I cut my dad's grass, and I cut his neighbor's grass, which is Brad Sten's mom and his stepdad. So there you go. I was cutting Brad Sten's parents' lawn for a lot of years. Oh, and I got asked to try out for Brad's cover band, and guess what? Didn't make the cut.
What was the cover band? What did he play? What did they play? Flamin' Groovies or what?
No, God, no. It was like playing My Sharona and shit, and I couldn't do it. I shouldn't say it like that. I mean, the way it was presented to me, I was just like, sure, I'll get paid this kind of money to play this music in Mount Adams, whatever. And I just, I guess having been around a long time and thinking pretty highly of myself, when Brad asked me if I wanted to do it, I just thought that I'd just do it. And then I had to show up for an audition.
Oh no! How absurd!
And I guess I didn't do well because I never heard.
No luck. No Sharona for you, man.
No Sharona for me. And that was one of the songs I thought I could pull out. I was just like, listen, what about, and I said I can play some shit off of Provisions Fiction and Gear. We can play your hit. Let's play IC Sound. And then I flubbed that up too. So,
you could change the name to My Sharona to My Corona. I guess that would be appropriate for right now, right?
I'm sure it's happening somewhere.
somewhere out there in some bootleg nightclub, and somebody.
Did you guys hear Mike Grimm's Copa Corona song? Mike Grimm, drummer for the look this up. Look it up. It's on Facebook. The drummer for the a lot of people don't realize this, but the drummer for the Mortals, Mike Grimm, is a relatively accomplished songwriter in his own right, and he's really good at recording stuff. And he did a total Barry Manilow, Copacabana new lyrics, it's Weird Al Yankovic quality. So look it up. It's pretty amazing. And hearing it and thinking of Mike singing it, I'm just like, wow. He got on TV and shit. They interviewed him for the local Fox channel.
Yeah. Good for him, man.
Yeah.
Farmer, you got to do some of that for your self-promotion here.
Farmer, what's the story with the Reds Hall of Fame?
What's the story? What do you mean? Like when we're going to open or whatever?
Well, I mean, obviously that's probably. I mean, you guys. Well, no shit. You guys would be open right now. A season would be in swing right now, right?
Yeah, we were preparing for opening day, and then 2 or 3 weeks later, the entire season's shut down. It's just crazy. So
Now, but see, let me ask you about that. I mean, obviously your inside track is a little limited, being at the Hall of Fame rather than with the team. But what I mean, what do you think? I mean, I kind of assumed. Obviously incorrectly this far, I kind of assumed that at the very least they would do empty stadium televised games.
well,
I thought,
they're talking about that. They're talking about maybe opening the season in July. It'd be great to start it around 4th of July and have an 80-game season.
yeah,
They're going to add. I think they're talking about adding 2 more wild card teams, so there'll be 4 extra teams in the playoffs. So
sure, right.
I really
With a
think
truncated season, that makes sense.
yeah, I really think that they'll get a season going. So
Something.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, see, but sorry. That's the thing is I was telling my wife the other day that we keep talking about the same stuff. I mean, everybody talks about the same stuff, but I'm just like, no, it's different angles and there's different niches and stuff like that. The sports thing to me is kind of a fascinating angle because it's an industry that's hemorrhaging money like almost nothing else. I mean, there's so much being lost financially anyway.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, it's not like, someone said something like the NBA. It's like 10 people. We can't test 10 people and get 10 people safe on the court. That's not how it works. It's not just the people playing the game for that minute or whatever. There's 150 different people involved in just putting a team on the floor.
Yeah.
I just don't. How's it going to work? I mean, how's it going to work? What are your thoughts?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, I haven't been able to wrap my head around possibilities and whatnot. I mean, me personally, I have no problem going out, and I would have no problem going into a stand or stands and sitting next to people or whatever and shaking hands and whatnot. I don't really have that type of thing. If something's going to get me, something's going to get me. But I respect other people's issues with what's going on out there right now.
They're right to not catching something.
Absolutely, yeah, and die.
You're good
A little
Americans.
thing like
Farmer.
that.
Good American.
But
Yeah, right.
I really can't give you much insight on what's going on with the sport itself. My world is the history and keeping these guys alive.
Sure.
What I do for if you ever listen to radio broadcasts or any of your listeners or listen to the radio broadcast, I write most of the trivia questions that the radio broadcasters read in the
Oh,
section.
right on.
So, and then they answer it. And so anytime you're listening to them, it's probably a question that came from me. That's kind of what I do for the team and whatnot. And I try to keep the history of the team alive. That's more my angle. So.
Now, have you found recently on that subject in particular, have you found that it's important to make sure it's timely enough that the listeners aren't, I mean, you're not asking questions about who threw no hitter in 1904. I mean, you're asking questions about player. Are you? You do that stuff? Because I listen from time to time. I've heard a lot of these trivia questions, and I always got the sense that it was like, let's make sure that there's people engaged enough that
Right.
Grandpa will remember Willie Stargell, that kind of thing.
Well, typically what the questions we come up with are we try to gear them towards a set. So let's say they're up in Cleveland and Johnny's drunk in the stands and listening to the radio or whatever. You know what I mean? We'll try to come up with a question that has to do with Cleveland and Cincinnati or something like that. So we do try to tie stuff in, but anytime I come up with these really old-timey questions, Jeff Brantley always has this like groan. It's just, oh God, why did
It's because he knows he can't answer it.
And he's very competitive. So he really I kind of give him a little bit of grief about it when he strolls through the Hall of Fame. So
yeah, of course you do.
It's all good. He's made it really entertaining. So it's pretty cool.
I like Brantley. I don't like the idea of him being madder than a wet hornet, but he's one of those things that it's glad to know that's continuing now that Marty's not.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's all we can do is kind of see how it goes, right? I mean, I don't know. I personally am so torn between just like apocalyptic visions and the hope that everything's going to be okay. I just have so little faith in people's ability to do the right thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I went to the park today with my daughter, there were people there, but we kind of kept our distance. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We
right.
were participating, and and it's just unfortunate that it's like I don't feel like a one size fits all is gonna benefit anybody. But that's my opinion. So what do I know?
Well, I mean, one of the thought processes is one size fits all. Is let's get back to normal. I mean, a lot of people are clearly fed up about being at home, only going to the store, et cetera, whatever the case might be. But I mean, I've told my wife more than one occasion. Unfortunately, because I'm around a lot, she has to listen to me a lot. But I've told her on more than one occasion. The thing that strikes me as the most damning about this whole circumstance is everyone's saying the numbers are here, so let's open things back up. And my thought process is, well, the numbers are here because we were all closed. So why? I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like that we've created where we are, which isn't really a plateau or a decrease, but I feel like we created it by being sharp about it and staying in and stuff. And now I just feel like we're going to throw that away.
Are you still in Cincinnati, Scott? Where do you live now?
I am. I'm right on the edge of Hyde Park in Evanston.
Okay.
I'm not far from you. I'm 5 minutes up the road. If you and I wanted to get together and have a beer, it'd probably take maybe 10 minutes for us to find ourselves in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, I got you.
But I mean, and I'm real lucky. I'm still working, and I'm still. I'm the point person. I go to the grocery store and stuff, and literally just over the last week and a half or so, I've been wearing a mask in the store at my wife's request because I've just washed my hands a lot, and I don't like lick people when I'm out.
Yeah. You're gonna have to sustain from that. Do you still play music or anything like that?
I do. Cistern plays. We used to play like once a week, and Bill Furby actually joined us, which was weird, but it's been kind of cool. But yeah, and I play with the church band just to have people to play with. And the thing is it's like I can't stand Christian rock, and it's their whole ballywick, but I like all the people, and they're very nice, and most of them are reasonably talented. So.
What church do you go to?
It's called Legend Community Church.
Okay.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity for the plug. They're actually at they're at a place called Artsville in Madisonville, and typically there'd be services every Sunday. It's a real kind of like late 20s, early 30s. I hate to say hipster kind of thing, but it really is. And but it's a good group of people. I like the way they got. It's all about community, and it's not about penance. So
making you feel guilty all the time.
Yeah, I'm a complete fuck with everybody that I associate with there, and they all seem to think it's all right. So actually, I had the pastors of the church on one of these a few weeks back. If you ever want to check it out, it's on the YouTube channel. It was great. It was Jason and Justin, and Justin, I don't know why, one of the pastors did it with his phone, and he literally wandered the woods the whole time with this very like Tolkien pipe.
No, these things are really cool. I mean, I'm amazed that you're still able to produce these things. You do one of these every day, don't you?
No, I mean that was the initial thought process, but this is the first one I've done since Friday.
Okay.
And the thing is, it's proven kind of difficult to schedule people. Like I can decide I want to talk to somebody, but it's like pulling teeth sometimes to get them at the same place and the same time with somebody I want to talk to at the same time as them.
It's really there's a lot of flashbacks here because Laura Dawson, you did an interview with Laura Dawson and David Enright. It was those two.
It was the overseas episode.
Yeah, she's in England too, right?
Yeah, well, Dave's in Brussels and she's in London. Right. And I actually had to do that on a Saturday afternoon to get them both to do it. And what's funny is it's like, so that day I had to start drinking at like 7:30. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen Laura in years. John and I worked with her at Borders Books and Music out many moons ago, and I think these are really cool, Scott. And that's why I just wanted to give you a little.
Well, thanks, man.
Thumbs up on that.
I appreciate that. I'm just happy that I put them all on a YouTube channel. So, like I said, they're going to be there forever because the Facebook shit will fall apart or fall off ultimately, eventually. Shit. Clearly, I've been drinking since 7:30 today, but you know what I mean.
So, if I were to go on YouTube, do I plug in Scott Haggerty?
No, that won't work. You got to use the word panel. Actually, you know what'll work better is I'll just send you the link, John. Didn't I send you the link? Because you said you weren't on Facebook. I sent you the link so you could watch the episodes.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that
you're gonna tell me.
I'm not going to tell you. Never mind.
No, fuck. Come on. That was like that was a Wheeler Street conversation right there.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah. Oh man.
Backslider. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Oh, dude. Well, I'll tell you what. It's interesting. Speaking about the whole God and rock thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you this. Unlike yourself, I'm a big penance guy. I'm a big penance guy. So I joined the Catholic Church.
Which is a place for penance, man. It makes sense.
Yes, in 2013, when I was out of work on furlough because the government shut down, I joined the Catholic Church. Anyway, so I'm at one of these Catholic things, and they've got these guest priests coming in. There's like this guest priest, and he was a musical like freaking fiend. I mean, he loved it. He couldn't get enough. He was telling all these. Talking about all these different bands and stuff like that. He's talking about there was this kid that was a diver for St. Ignatius, and I think he fucked something up and he broke his neck, and so he was paralyzed. And this guy went with him to got to go backstage at Bruce Springsteen's concert.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So the priest is wheeling this dude in. And, he meets the boss, dude. And the boss looks down at his, he's got a crucifix on, Catholic and that whole thing.
Yeah.
And the boss says to him, it's nice to meet you. And he said, us Catholic boys got to stick together. And
that sounds about right.
Yeah. But
listen, John, wait, that's incredibly cool, but I don't want you to get cut off, and I'm getting ready to get cut off here. And I want to thank Jim for being here, and I want to thank you for being guys, let's do this again sometime real soon. John, I'm not going to wait a whole month to have you on again, okay?
All right, sounds good.
We'll try to plan a comeback of Deary Me Records of some sort.
There you go.